Hi friends. We are, number one, we have just drank some beers. I just tasted Great Notion Brewery. We're working on this big papaya, which we will be finishing. So this is gonna be kind of a drink and talk thing, but we're gonna do something different in this video. And we're going to dig deep into how I cope with stress. So I think this past year, 2020, has been super stressful for everyone. However, it's been a different kind of stressful because I'm one to internalize things, carry stress on me probably most of my life. I internalize things. I am an overthinker. I am a true Virgo lady, people. And today I am going to talk about how I have dealt with that, some background history, and just some brutal truth to it all. Just because, I don't know, maybe you guys are struggling with the same things. Maybe you guys are wondering if your stress is tied to just high expectations, or maybe there's something chemical, hormonal going on with you. Whatever it is, no judgment here, judgment-free zone. So thank you for joining. Let's get it kicked off with a little cheers. And here we go. So I am 37 years old. I will be turning 38 this September. I guess I have always wondered prior to this year if there was something different about me as far as the way that I process information. As a child, and we're talking grade school, and actually junior high school, I floated through school. I didn't study. I did not necessarily test well. And I was definitely a procrastinator. Even through college, I was a procrastinator. But when it got time to get shit done, I got it done and I passed. Now, did I get the best grades? Not in college so much. In high school, I think I finished with like a 3.6 something, 3.7 something. But I managed, didn't have to try very hard. Got to college, was like, oh shit, what just happened here? Now I have to actually study and retain information and write papers, which was problematic, and probably why I went to college twice, for 4 years right out of high school. And then I actually went back, I believe when I was 26 or 27 to finish 2 years, and then I graduated with my bachelor's degree. Cheers to paying off student loans for the rest of my life. Anyways, I always wondered to myself why I felt so scatterbrained in my head. On the outside, I was a cool customer. Super cool customer. Played sports, was in student government, yearbook, all that shenanigans. But internally, I was just so restless. So, Harley's here. I felt very pulled in a lot of different directions. I did not feel like I was focused on one thing, nor could I say for sure that I could focus on one thing. And even through college, both times, I really struggled to sit down and actually write a paper. Sitting in a 1 hour class where I knew I had to take notes, I knew I had to actually comprehend, process the information, was very difficult for me. And even now, if I have to sit for too long, it's very, very difficult for me. And sitting in an hour and 50-minute lecture was just like, couldn't do it. A lot of times I blew it off, and I would go for a little bit, then I'd probably leave halfway through. And I always just wondered, like, why can't I just focus on one thing? Or why can't I just manage that one thing really well? I always joked with myself that, Nicole, you probably have ADD of some sort. And I told myself that for the longest time. I didn't actually ever talk to anyone about it because I just thought that maybe school wasn't for me. And that's when I stopped going to college, went back home to Bend, worked for a while, and then I went back to school. And I struggled going back to school the second time, especially like when you're out there making that money and everything, and thinking of going back to school, investing that money again, and living like a college kid again was difficult, but I did it, and I'm very thankful for that. However, then transitioning from college life to where I struggled, got through it, into real world, trying to get that job, that 9-to-5, that career, if you will, was very daunting. I moved up pretty quickly as far as I started in admitting in an urgent care. And then I believe 9 months after that, so I came in, I got the lead position pretty quickly. I want to say a month in or so. And then about 8 months later, I got a supervisor position at a new clinic that was opening up. And then probably a year and a half later, I was promoted to the manager of that clinic. And I've been in a leadership position pretty much the whole time. I have just got my 2 years under my belt at the place that I work with now, and it's really good. So I think overall, I have about six and a half years of clinic management experience, and overall, I have well over 12 years of management leadership experience. So, but all the while, I always really struggled with focusing. I felt very restless inside. I felt on the inside I was very pulled in different directions and conflicted with how to keep everything straight, or how to feel like I have such high expectations for myself that was instilled in me in such a young age by my parents and my siblings, and my teachers too, but mostly by my parents and one of my siblings for sure, that I've had high expectations for myself from the very get-go, and I still have high expectations for myself, but feeling that I could be at ease with everything at the end of the day and actually leave work and be like, I've done what I can for the day, I can leave, was always a challenge. I think it was about 2016 when I decided I want to go start seeing a psychologist, because I had a lot of things going on in my head. Again, I internalize things. I don't talk about my feelings very well. I don't talk about how I'm feeling very well. I've gotten way better at it over the last 5 or so years, but before that, I was just like, would not talk about anything, which was very detrimental to a lot of the relationships that I had, both friendly and romantic. So I started to go see a psychologist, and I love Bruce. If you have the opportunity to go see someone who is totally unbiased, wants to see you succeed, is open to just discussing life and hearing you and giving their honest opinion, I would say do so. Behavior health, mental health is such a strong portion of our overall wellness that I would urge you to do it if you have the time, if you want to put in the time, if you can do it. And I think getting that connection with someone else is so important to the success of your wellness that I would encourage you to do that. I was able to really dig in with Bruce and kind of go through some history, definitely, of when I was growing up, and the thought of never being, and again, this is my internal thoughts, the thought of never being like really good enough or up to the expectations that my parents had set for me, that truly I had for myself, but also with my siblings that had kind of paved the way before me. I'm the youngest of 6. And we have some very successful siblings in my household. And also there was a component of, so I'm adopted, youngest of 6 adopted, and the next closest to me is 12 years older than me. I think the furthest away from me, he is 19 years older than me. So there's quite an age gap too. So I really grew up as an only child. I think that with a combination of everything, I just didn't feel very connected to really anything And I don't want to say I was conflicted in that, because I definitely wasn't conflicted. I just didn't have anything to really attach to. And I felt so restless and scattered within my own self that was very easy to just get lost in things. So I was either lost in going to work and really dedicating myself to work, going to practice and being a coach, or going to club coaching and doing that, throwing myself into going out with my friends, even trying to find myself in like things like shopping, not necessarily drinking, although that was like, I wouldn't say that identified with me, but it was definitely a thing that could help me relax and just not care or not think about things. Not that I am supporting that. But it was definitely one of those, like, I knew that if I was going out to the bar with whoever it was, be it my boyfriend at the time or my friends, that we could just relax and not really think about all those things that were really consuming my head, like work or trying to climb the corporate ladder or anything like that. So I started seeing Bruce. And we were able to work through quite a lot of things, which was so helpful. And Bruce made me, like, every time I left Bruce, I cried. And there was one visit where I didn't cry, and as I was walking out of his door, I said, like, Bruce, do you know what's different about this visit? And he looked at me, he's like, no, what's different? And I was like, I'm not leaving crying. Like, I haven't cried. My eyeliner is still intact. And he's like, why does that stand out to you? You know, doing his Bruce thing. And I said, I think it's because I'm at peace with our session today. There's no lingering questions. There's no sadness. There's no anger. There's no shoulda, coulda, wouldas, basically. And I feel really good about leaving here. And he's like, that's great. I wish that for you every visit. And of course, the next visit, of course, I cried. But they were healthy tears, which is something that I've also learned, that crying can be very therapeutic too. Especially if you're a female, and especially if you're on that time of month. But yeah, I saw Bruce for probably a year and a half before I moved up here to Central Washington. And I think through that year and a half, we developed a lot of coping strategies. I knew that I was anxious. I knew that I had a lot of internal anxiety going on that didn't present itself on my outward appearance to people. But I knew the inside, I felt like I was like, I can't do everything at once. I feel like I'm not doing anything. I'm not completing any of my tasks, any of that. I feel now that I have been seeing my psychiatrist for, a while now. And actually, I have been diagnosed within the past year with ADHD, which I always thought that I probably had. But again, there's like, not for me, there's not a stigma with me about it, because I always kind of felt that I did have ADHD, but there is a stigma attached to it. And I will wear it proudly. I've talked to several people just about like trying different things. My ADHD presents itself in restlessness and anxiousness. I work in a profession, in a career that you are pulled in every which way, and especially in the last year, but every which way very suddenly. So I have to be okay being interrupted. I have to be okay with putting out fires regularly and still getting my things done. And it could be a lot. Like, before I started talking to my psychiatrist, she's technically a nurse practitioner, but before I was talking to her, I think that I was more concerned in my inner self about getting everything done, because I knew that I wanted to be the very best that I could be. Excuse me, it's the beer. And I have different methods for that, which I will go over in just a couple minutes. But I was very concerned with getting everything done. I run a very large clinic. I have over 50 doctors and their support staff. So that is quite a few people that report directly up to me. I also have a very high expectation for myself that I do a good job, not only for myself, but for the company, for our patients, for my employees too. And again, just being pulled in different directions and still having to keep your day-to-day tasks completed and ongoing. So I started seeing Nicole, and she is, I don't know what her official title is. She is basically an advanced practice clinician. She's a nurse practitioner. And we started going down this route of, okay, is it ADHD or is it maybe just a little bit of anxiety that we could, you know, see if some medication might work? So we went down this route. So I started off taking a low dose of Concerta, which definitely helped me feel at ease. Like my outward appearance, my outward output basically didn't really change, but how I was feeling definitely was more at ease. Did I still feel a little like, oh shit, I gotta get everything done and COVID's happening and this is happening? Actually, this was all pre-COVID too. But is my mind being pulled in different directions? Yes, but I felt a little bit more at ease. I think that with COVID happening, it kind of gave me a heightened sense of being like, I have a lot to do and a lot on my plate and I need to get it all done and still run a clinic and I still need to do all this. Yes, it was still there. And so we actually upped my Concerta, and I was actually taking little methamphetamine. It starts with an M, in the afternoon. And that seemed to like really be okay. She told me at the very end she wanted me to be on this one prescription called Vyvanse, but in order to, I have to go through all these things. So currently, this is my second day of actually being on Adderall, which is new for me. My body is still getting used to it. So you have this little feeling of, not so much today, but yesterday for sure, I felt a little disconnected because my body was getting used to it. And I only took half of the amount, and today I only took half the amount. So tomorrow I'll take the full amount. Trigger has now joined us. And see how that goes. So the 2 days have been good, and we will see what tomorrow holds when I do the 2. But it just kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I'm still being pulled in every which way, which I am. I feel like I have a lot of stuff to do, which I do. But my feeling of being a little bit more at peace and being able to be like, Nicole, it's okay. You have a system in place. You have ways to manage the every which way. And at the end of the day, when you leave work, you can truly leave work. Now, can I actually leave work? No, because let's say an alarm goes off, something happens. Like, I'm still technically working, but I'm able to leave those tasks there, if that makes sense. And so far, it's been really good. People do have stigma about taking medication, taking Adderall. I get that, but at the same time, I wonder if those people have ever questioned maybe the way I'm feeling might be helped with some of this stuff too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And it's not for everyone. I will fully tell you it's not. But it's helped me feel more at ease, and it's helped me feel more focused on things, more calm, everything. So let's talk about those coping strategies that I have. So a couple of things that I've developed over the years is, number one, I am a list maker. Un momento. I'm a list maker to the extreme. And you know, there are a couple of reasons why. Number one, because I can get it all down on paper, what I need to do for the day. Number two, it is so satisfying to check off these stupid little boxes as I do them. And I know that it's silly, but I do them. I have days of like to-do lists basically that all involve these these little boxes. And what I do is I make a little box and I put the task there, and it is a sense of accomplishment for me. Now, am I okay not completing a task? 100% I am. I know that there are days when I'm like, I don't want to do this, so I'm not going to do it. So I will just draw. Let's see, let me find an example for you. Here we go. This is a great example. So I have all these boxes to do, and I think this was over a weekend. Yeah, Saturday, Sunday. Have all these boxes to do, and I didn't do this one. I didn't exercise on Saturday. And I don't have a check mark box on the Sunday either, so I'm guessing I didn't do that. And I'm okay with that. Because inside, I know that like one of my coping strategies is you write it down, you know that that's what you hope to do, but with the knowledge of if you don't complete all of it, that's okay too. And that's nothing to, hang your head about, nothing to hold against you. It just didn't happen. So that's one of them. And I do that for most of the days that I have off. So these are weekend days. And if I did any PTO, but usually PTO is tied around with either rest or a vacation of some sort. So yes, but those are weekend days. Another strategy that I do is I found that I was waking up a lot of times in the middle of the night, or I couldn't go to sleep because I had all of these thoughts in my head and I could not turn them off and just truly rest. So if I find that I am perseverating over something, I will send myself a work email with and I'm one of those people, I can just say a word or type a word and it'll jog my memory the next day. So I will do that. And once I hit that send button, after I send that word or a couple words to my work email, it's done. It's put away. It is out of my head. I do this even if I wake up in the middle of the night thinking about something. I will send myself an email and I've told myself, you've sent it. You can not do anything at this moment about it. It's done. Another method that I have used to cope with things is definitely just have positive self-talk. Throughout the day, if there's a lot of things going on, I will, number one, I live by my calendar so that I know how my day is kind of separated out. And I know that that is not going to, no day will actually go as planned. And I know this, and I've come to that realization. However, if I know that I have a hard stop for a meeting, I will tell the person or whatever's happening, hey, no problem, let's talk about this, but I do have a hard stop at this time. So that actually sets boundaries for myself and for them. If I'm not able to help with whatever's needed in that time, we will always come up with a solution for, let me get back to you. And then I will always write myself a little note like this. I do have one of these at work that I do as well. And then I will get back to that person too. And again, it's so satisfying to check off the little box at the end when the task is completed. So that is another coping strategy. And my last one is just preparing for the next day. So every night when I am setting my alarm, I will look at the next day and know what is to be expected. And I kind of do this self-talk while I'm going pee before I brush my teeth at night, while I'm brushing my teeth, and kind of be like, okay, tomorrow is Tuesday. You have this going on, you have this going on, you have this going on. And then when I set my alarm, I set it with enough time where I'm definitely not one of those people that can have one alarm and then like, I'm up and let's go. I need some time to actually tell myself, oh God, Nicole, you have another hour. So if I need to be at work by 8, that means I need to leave here by like 7:50, 7:55ish, because it's really short to work. That means if I'm washing my hair, I need to be up and in the shower by like 6:20ish. If I'm not washing my hair and just taking a body shower, I could probably be in the shower by 6:57 and make it okay. But I will always set an alarm at least a half hour prior to that time, because I tell you what, when that first alarm goes off and you see it, and this is completely a mental thing for me, when I see that I still have a half hour on there or an hour, whatever it is, I am so gosh darn relieved. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have another half hour to sleep. And again, it's so satisfying to hit the off button knowing that I have another alarm set. so that when that second alarm comes on, I know that I have had my like starter alarm basically, and that I've had the additional rest, and then it's time to get up. I always build in like 5 to 7 minutes of time so that I can like have my kitty snuggles and my dog snuggles in the morning in bed, and then I get up. And that truly is a coping mechanism for me, and it's actually a really good way to start the day knowing that it's on my terms and that I've had the extra time to not only rest but to just cherish those mornings with my animals, and then to get to work too. And these are some things that have helped me. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure out like what's the perfect medication routine for me. My provider thinks that this Vyvanse is going to be the best, but we're on the Adderall right now, and we'll continue to do that. I will tell you, inside I feel a lot at ease with this medication. I feel a lot at ease knowing that the feelings that I've always felt throughout the years, thinking that like I'm just gonna call it scatterbrained, but feeling scatterbrained, feeling restless, feeling that like, why can't I just focus on one thing, that there is some science behind it. I wish I would have talked to someone sooner about it, but again, that's not something that I completely regret, because now that I have talked to someone, it's made it that much more sweeter, I guess, and it answers a lot of questions from my past, but it's definitely been a journey for me. I would encourage you that if you have any of these thoughts, to reach out to your primary care physician and see if there's maybe either a behavior health consultant, a mental health consultant, or even a nurse practitioner who does medicate and manage those meds for you, to just see what it's like. No one should be in this world of feeling restless or feeling like they're not connecting with their work or connecting with other people or just having questions in general. There are so many resources out there, and I would just encourage you to go and look into those resources, because I think a lot of times when we don't know what's going on, that's part of the problem. And I think asking questions and being open to not only the feedback, but what the possibilities could be, is a step in the right direction. I knew she was getting that. There's a walker outside, and she's like, oh, hell no. You're not walking outside of my house, are you? Anyways, I would just encourage you to do that. It's helped me so much. I finally feel very much at ease knowing that there is an actual reason for my feeling the restlessness, and me learning how to manage it throughout the years. Definitely keeping organized, keeping detailed notes, just because I know that my mind goes in all different which ways and wanting to still feel like I have control, and that I do have control, and that I have control over my output and performance has been huge for me. And it's really helped me quite a bit being on the Concerta and now Adderall. So yeah, I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you're still with me. If you are, please give me a thumbs up. Comment below if you've had these feelings. If you have ADHD, I'd love to know when you were diagnosed with this, because again, I often wonder, like, should I have been diagnosed with it earlier instead of being diagnosed when I was 37? And I'd love to hear your feedback on things. Thanks for sticking around, and I'm gonna finish this delicious beer and maybe get some dinner going, but I hope you have a great night, and I'll see you later. Bye.